All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, live on this Wednesday. Make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button. If you have not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure and hit that subscription. And every time we go live, if you hit the bell, you'll be notified. And you don't want to miss what's coming up now. Carter Sheridan, who is an LSU offensive analyst, been here since 2020, but has a great football resume. A New Orleanian, St. Aug, another Purple Knight on staff with Coach Frank Wilson, Cortez Hankton, who came through yesterday. In fact, him and Coach Hank were on campus together over at St. Aug in the mid-'90s. And it is our pleasure to welcome in on set here on this Thursday morning LSU offensive analyst Carter Sheridan to the conversation. Coach, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. First and foremost, yesterday Coach Hank coming through gave us an opportunity to talk to all of the on-the-field full-time staffers, and one thing that has jumped out has just been it's a room full of good people, man, and it seems like they like people. And I've said that's got to be a tough task for a head coach that is bringing together a lot of personalities, and for all of them to get along like it seems like you guys do.
Yeah, we do. We get along very well. It's pretty easy when you have like-minded individuals who have the same and common goals in mind, and I think that was a big part of why Coach Kelly assembled this cast of men to lead our team and to lead these men. It's a great culmination of minds. We have fun. I know Cortez told you that yesterday. We have a lot of fun in there, but we also get the job done. And first and foremost, like when Mike Denbrock first had us in there as a staff, he made it clear that, hey, it's about our student athletes. Mm-hmm. We could be knee deep in scheming and game planning, all those things. If one of those guys knocks on your door, that takes precedent. That's priority. And we're all on the same page, all on one accord as far as that goes. So I think Coach Kelly's done a great job in assembling great men first and foremost.
Yesterday we had a chance to hear Coach Kelly speak publicly over at the Rotary Club to a room full of passionate LSU Tiger fans in South Stadium suites yesterday, and really I think he got a look at just kind of the passion all in one room of the fan base. Mm-hmm. He seems like he understands the job in the SEC. What have you made of the short time that you've been working for him?
Well, one thing that Coach Kelly realized early on is that down in Louisiana we love our football, mm-hmm. and we're passionate about it, and he's embraced that, and he knows that and understands that and caters to that, and he aligns his values. I mean, there's no accident he's the most winningest coach in college football. He's aligning his values with what the LSU culture is all about, in an unwavering way. So he's receiving this community well. The community is embracing him. It was a little rough at first.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But we're getting there. And winning cures all.
Sure, absolutely. And look, he made light of that yesterday. He really gets it. And look, his resume speaks for itself. And mm-hmm. like you said, where he's coming from and what he's accomplished up to this point makes him, gives LSU fans a really good outlook for the future. But he was talking about, the challenges that you guys had early on of recruiting your roster, mm-hmm. rebuilding to kind of where you guys got to in spring. You made it through the transition from mm-hmm. last staff to this staff, one of just a minimal few that were able to do that. Can you talk about that time period of trying to get this roster to a competitive state to where it is going into this season?
Well, it's always a challenging time when you have a coaching change. You don't know what's going to happen. You're in the middle of the season. You're not in the middle of the season, but you're approaching the end of a season. You're trying to complete a recruiting cycle. You're trying to prepare for a bowl game. You're trying to, the previous head coach is out, so you're still trying to keep your current roster focused. So that's a challenge in itself because, you kind of lose your legs from under you a little bit because mm-hmm. he's not going to be here. Well, sure. I got to listen to him. Mm-hmm. So that was a challenging part, but we had the right guys, and Coach Kelly identified the right guys, and those guys who are on our roster currently and stayed and remained clearly were the ones that fit Coach Kelly's mold, and fit the direction of where this program is trying to go. But it was my attitude is always just look, put your head down and work. You know, I'm a blue collar guy. You know, that was instilled in me through my father. He's a blue collar guy, and control the controllables. I can't control who's coming in, who's going out. I have a job to do. I was entrusted with a duty and a responsibility, and I'm going to do it, you know, to the best of my ability. And then you let all the other pieces fall into place.
Yeah.
You know?
How did that conversation go with you and BK when he got here? That he recognized that you would fit into his staff.
Well, coming back from the bowl game, that whole debacle. But there were some positives, and I kind of beat my chest a little bit because we had 3 touchdowns in the game, scored by 3 receivers, thrown by a receiver. So
that's right.
I was take credit for those.
Yeah, I'll take it. Right. But he called me in his office, and you know, everybody was going, having their conversation, exit interviews, this and that, and I expected mine to be no different. And then he said, "Coach, I'd like for you to remain." And you know, this was before Coach even had a receiver coach in the building. You know, there were grumblings of Coach Hankton coming, and you know, I was probably one of his biggest cheerleaders at that time. While he's making his run, I'm like, "Hey, bro, come on, what you doing?" And so he sat me down, and it was a quick conversation. He liked the way that I handled the situation. He admired the way I went about my business and worked and competed, and you know, did my job to get our student athletes ready for a game. And he said, "We want to keep you on, you know, same role." The main takeaway, what I remember him telling me, is that with our student athletes, we're demanding, not demeaning. Wow. And that's one thing I keep with me, and I practice it every day. You know, I'm from New Orleans. I'm a 504 boy, and we could get a little fiery.
Sure.
You know, we gotta kind of watch what we say, but I try to choose my words wisely. And that was his main takeaway from me to me, was make sure you're demanding, not demeaning, and you know, keep doing what you're doing.
You and Hank look like y'all work really well together.
We do. Just like the rest of our staff, we have common core values. You know, the work is the work, the standard is the standard, and we hold those guys to a high standard, and the expectation is high. And it's if our expectation level for you is lower than yours of yourself, we're probably not going to get along. You know, our coaching style, it isn't for everybody. And I mean, there are other places you can go where, you know, they'll accept and they'll settle for whatever you have to give them. But when you come in that building every day, you need to be ready. You know, you need to be ready to give your all, hold yourself to a high standard. You know, all those things, all those traits of excellence that Coach BK preaches on a daily basis. You need to be ready to live it and walk the walk.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're aligned in that regard.
What is the responsibility and role of an offensive analyst and somebody who sits in your position?
You know, I don't think there's a.
Is it not defined? Is it not?
Yeah, I don't think there's an actual playbook of what that looks like. My job in a lot of the places I've been, my job has always been to support, help, serve. You know, whether it's the student athletes, whether it's the coach, another support staff member, just make their job a little easier, and I embrace that. And but just to answer your question, you know, I assist in the pass game. Obviously, assist with the wide receiver duties, and you know, as far as drill work and schematically, I work with, you know, how can we put this guy in the best position to have success? What tools can we equip and arm this style of receiver with so he can have success on Saturdays? Also, a big responsibility is recruiting. You know, when it's permitted, reaching out to those guys, having conversations, getting them on campus, and just fostering those relationships with our staff and our program to, get the right kind of people in the building.
We talk to a lot of recruits here and guys that are either committed to you or guys that you are going after. Speaking of LSU, and your name comes up a lot. It seems like you love that part of the game, the recruiting aspect of it.
I do. I mean, it's all about relationships, man. And I work for a lot of different people. And Frank, obviously Frank Wilson, his name comes up all the time. And in my journey as a coach, recruiter, I've always looked up to him. And I've always kind of grafted on to, like, what is he doing? Why is he so successful? And he's an elite listener. You know what I mean? And, he told me, another recruiter as well, guys I've worked with in the past, to be a good recruiter, you have to be a great listener, because a recruit will tell you exactly what he wants. And when you listen and he tells you, and same with the family members, they'll tell you exactly what they want, in the program, in the school, in the team, and what they want for their son. Yeah. And if you listen to that and cater to that, and then show that, hey, we can provide that. We can, this is what that looks like. This is what we could provide for your son to advance him, on and off the field, not just for the next 4 years, but for the next 40 years. Yeah. And I love that aspect of it.
Your room, the wide receiver room, is fantastic. It's deep, and if healthy, Kayshawn's probably the best player in the country at that position.
Maybe, I'd have to agree.
Maybe in the game. He might be the best player in the game if he's healthy.
Yeah, I'm a little biased.
Yeah, right. What do you make of the room? What is the expectation on that group going into fall camp?
Like I alluded to before, the expectation level it's high. I mean, the standard is high. And every day, we keep close tabs on them, making sure they're in class, and making sure they know what they need to do in order to be ready, and be eligible and all those things for the season. But character-wise, it doesn't get any better. Those guys come to work with their hard hat on, and it's you can't ask for a better group. They take it seriously. They're intentional with their work and what they do, and it's a pleasure to be able to have a role in coaching those guys. But yeah, Kayshawn is he's gonna, if he does inkling of what we think he can do, he's gonna be smelling jet fuel, at the end of the season, taking the trip to the Biletnikoff Award ceremony. And then we got, Malik's coming along well, Jack's coming along well, the two Lafayette boys. I love watching them. They're so competitive, just that they kind of got that, like us New Orleans people do, got that raw edge about them. Yeah. They have that as well. Yeah. You know what I mean?
He's underappreciated.
Yeah, and they play with a chip on their shoulder. They want, one-on-ones. They're always jumping the line. I'm next. No, I got to get my rep back. If a DB gets the best of them one play, they're like, nah, I'm not letting that go. Yeah. That's how Jamar was too. Jamar, Racy, Terrace, they had that same, you see those flashes of that edge, with those guys as far as their attitude goes towards football and their approach to competing on a daily basis. So, you got Brian Thomas, Chris Hilton. I mean, those guys are roommates, and they're different. They're soft-spoken. Yeah. You don't hear much from them, but they go out and handle their business. They do what they need to do, and they do exactly what's asked of them. And we're very pleased with where we are.
A name that you got headliners: Thomas, Hilton, Kayshawn, Malik, Jack, Besh. It seems like Jordy Jenkins is a guy that's always consistent and always just whenever you call upon him, he's there. He does his job. He gets the first down catch. Right. You know what I mean? He makes that big third down catch for you.
Man, Jordy is amazing. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's one of those guys. His best ability is his availability. Yeah. And reliability. Right. He's always ready. He's always there. He's probably he's the smartest receiver in the room. Wow. You can plug him in any different spot. He can play all four positions on the field. And he's kind of just that, he's a safety blanket. You know what I mean? He gives you comfort as a coach to where he can get it done. Mm-hmm. Whatever we need him to do, he's a utility guy. And he does his competitiveness and the moment is never too big for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's I always say, cool heads win high games, and we've been in a lot of those. Like the A&M game.
Yeah.
Just his ability to just go out and look, I'm about to make this play, period. And he went out and did it. And the thing I remember the most about that A&M game-winning touchdown Jordy had was that he applied a drill we worked that Wednesday at practice in order to get separation for the game-winning touchdown. A lot of guys, they go out there and like the drill work kind of just, sinks by the wayside. But he's intentional, he applies it, and he trusts what's being taught and what we're teaching him.
Is that the most gratifying thing in coaching?
Yes.
That's got to be, right?
Yes.
I mean, just from an individualistic standpoint.
Yes, because it's so easy to just fall into bad habits, especially when you're fatigued, you revert back to your habits, whether they're good habits or bad habits.
Yeah.
And it's so gratifying when you see the clear-cut application of what's being coached applied on the field in the heat of the battle in the biggest of moments.
Right. When they're probably not thinking, they're just playing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's reaction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just reps on top of reps on top of reps just coming to fruition and being applied. And it's very gratifying as a coach.
BK was a trip yesterday in front of the room when he was asked about the quarterbacks. He said, we got a lot of them. And he said, if I'm going to leave a request box for everybody to kind of drop, what a recommendation box by the door. Everybody drop your recommendation on who you think it should be. You got great competition at that spot. What'd you make of that?
The best QB room in the nation.
Yeah, that's what Denbrock said.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
100%. The stage is set for competition. I can't wait. I got a perfect seat for it. And the receivers, they don't have a favorite.
Yeah,
their favorite is the one who's throwing it to them.
Yeah,
So
three different favorites.
Right.
After going through 15 practices with them, does your group change the way they play with whoever's back there? I know that they don't care who it is; they'll make plays for everybody. But does it matter your rotation works on who's playing?
I don't think you're talking about during spring.
Just going into fall.
I don't think it changes. I think. Now, I will say this, Coach Mike is a master at just taking what he has and making it, catering to what the players can do, not just plugging in, what he wants to do. I mean, he really studies and schemes and says, hey, what's he good at? Well, that's what we're going to do. 12, 10 personnel, 11 personnel, whatever it is. Whatever is going to give us our best chances, that's what we're going to do. Whatever players we need to put on the field to have success, that's what we're going to do, and we'll work around them. So, in spring, it was it didn't matter who was out there. Yeah. We were running our stuff, and we were more so learning, what we had, and we were applying. I think spring was less about scheme and more about implementing Coach Kelly's style and culture and how we're going to practice and our process. And our pattern ways of thinking as we approach practice.
Yeah,
I think it was more about that than the actual scheme.
Yeah, you spent a decade with the Saints. You spent 8 with Sean Payton, and the early days, 06 NFC Championship, Reggie Bush flipping into the end zone days of the New Orleans Saints.
Pointing at Brian Urlacher.
It was fun to watch.
Oh my God!
What's crazy? We watched that play yesterday as a staff.
Really?
Yeah, because there's a technique, there's a rail route, there's a technique that we're implementing into our offense. And I was talking to Coach Mike, and that's the great thing about Coach Mike. He takes and accepts input from everybody.
Right.
So during our when the coach was on a roll recruiting, some of the other analysts, we did at projects and studies and tried to figure out, hey, what are we good at? What's being done out there that directly applies to what we're trying to do offensively? And so I made like a little cut up or a reel of that rail route technique. Ugh. And that play just happened to be on there.
As soon as he turns the corner out of the backfield, he's wide open.
That's right, absolutely.
He's wide open.
So hopefully our running backs can implement that and kind of mirror that as
Before I
best as
get to the Saints, Emory had a great spring, and it seems like he's ready to bust out. When people ask me for a breakout player at LSU, I say, look, you know his name, but he's about to, I feel like, have a pro ready season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm not in a running back room too much, but I love him as a person. I mean, he's he's bright eyed, wants to learn, enthusiastic about football, enthusiastic about class now. You know what I mean? He's starting to put it together and figure it out. The light bulb's going off, and that's the one thing about kids. You never know when that light bulb's going to go off, and it's going off for him, and he's excited, he's enthusiastic, and the things I've seen him do. I mean, he was cut short in spring due to injury. I think he had an ankle at some point, and that hurt him. I mean, he was upset. He was broken up about it, and he made it back. He had like a injury that was supposed to keep him out well past our spring game, and he hunkered down and said, "No, I'm gonna be ready for spring game."
Yeah,
and that's a testament to him. So we're expecting big things out of him. I mean, and so is he.
Yeah,
he's poised to have a strong season, I believe.
Take me back to a young Sean Payton led coaches meeting and what you learned from him during your time.
So I learned so much from him, and just personally, I just been blessed to be able to have worked with such great coaches.
Yeah,
and I try to pull from everybody. What I mean? As a coach, if you're a coach that thinks you know it all, then you're probably dead in the water. I mean, I always want to. Every coach I've worked for, I'll try to take a piece of, what they do and, what they did to be successful. One thing about Sean, I mean, he had a motor. What I mean? It was just, and he was an offensive genius.
Yeah.
And Pete Carmichael, geez, I mean, these guys have forgotten more football than a lot of us know. But one thing about the biggest impression I had about Coach Payton was that he was fair. And when guys came into a room, new draft class, first team meeting, when after the draft you picked up your undrafted free agents, he used to always tell those guys, I don't care how you got here. All that is just laying assignments. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Whether you were a first rounder or undrafted free agent, everybody will have a shot to play. Yeah. And if you prove that you can help us win games, you'll be here. Yeah. And it wasn't just lip service. It wasn't just something he spoke about. It happened. You think about your Pierre Thomases, your Marcus Colsons, who were all late guys, and those guys beat out draft picks.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And he believed that to the end. And so that was one of the biggest takeaways from him, is just go off and trust your eyes and trust your evaluation. Nobody else's.
Was 2011 the best team?
Well, 09
was, right? 09, right.
That's what the results say.
They came away with the hardware. But, I mean, that offense was top 5 every year I was there, and we had some really good teams. And in 11, we had Sproles, we had Graham, Breeze. We had a good cast of characters. Yeah. And I still have nightmares about that about that
San
Francisco game.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
I still see him turning the corner, running Alex
Smith
in that quarterback keeper.
Yeah, man.
How cool was it to be a New Orleanian in 2009 and be a part of the Saints coaching staff?
Man,
winning that Super Bowl. Can you even explain? That had to be.
It's so hard to explain.
I still see that parade of 2 million people in downtown.
You don't believe it's real. You don't believe it's going on. And I mean, during that run, you're so immersed in the work.
Yeah.
You're so ingrained in the day-to-day routine. This is what we're doing, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You're just going through your game week and your preparation week. You lose sight of what you're in it for. Like, it's one day you look up and you're like, man, we're in the Super Bowl.
We got a chance to do something here.
Right. This is going to be real special. And it doesn't hit you. For me, at least, it didn't hit me until after the confetti was flying. Like, damn, we did this.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, bursts of emotion.
Yeah.
You see your wife, you see your family, you see your mama come hug you, and you're like, dang, it's real.
Yeah.
So every now and then you get little, you got to pinch yourself, while the run's going on, and I remember Mickey came to me and said, "Hey man, you from New Orleans? You're gonna need some extra tickets, aren't you?" So he gave me the opportunity to get 12, 14, more tickets. He's like, "Yeah, you the man of the people, so you're gonna need all of these. You're gonna need these." I remember that vividly.
It was great.
Where were you when Sean Payton halftime decides we're gonna go ambush onside kick? What was the feeling in the room? When did he kind of decide? Did he tell everybody, or was it just the special teams unit?
Yeah, practice.
No, he told everybody.
Right?
Yeah.
He told the offense, because we had in the Super Bowl the halftime is longer than normal, and in the beginning of games you have your openers. You have the first 10, 15 plays you're gonna go out with, and Coach Payton said, "Well, look, we got a long halftime. We're gonna go over another set of openers for halftime. We never done that before, so." I'm doing my halftime routine, talking to receivers, all those things, and then I'm like, wait a minute, openers, we about to kick the ball, yeah. So then it hit me like, we got something going, we got something up our sleeve,
cooking.
And then right, so all of a sudden, we're getting the openers ready and all that stuff, and it happened, and we intentionally kicked the ball to our sideline so we could kind of persuade the refs a little bit, and have that momentum going for us. But in the moment, it was a lot going on. I mean, it was hot.
It was.
Bullets were flying.
Oh,
Peyton
it was
is so good in that moment. This can't happen. This can't happen.
I need the ball back.
Yeah, this can't happen. He's like, it's so great. That's such a
juicy
great
fruit the
moment.
ball.
Yeah,
That's right. It was amazing.
What is this time like for a football coach? Where is your mind right now that camp is it seems like all the off-season work's kind of done, and you're gearing up for getting them in and getting them on the field, and now these have got to be long days for coaches, I'd imagine.
No, well, you're you just finished kind of decompressing. You had a little time off, got your battery recharged. So right now we're just getting our plan together for camp, getting our installation schedule together, getting all our priority guys on campus, getting those arrangements set before the first hits, before the dead period hits. So the emphasis right now is recruiting until the dead period hits, and preparing and getting ready to gear up for camp. Getting the schedules together, logistics, where they're going to stay, where they're going to eat, how we're going to eat, what that looks like, getting the buses together. So that's the main emphasis right now, just gearing up for a good first camp.
What are the expectations for the young guys coming in? I love Landon Ibieta at Mandeville. I think that he'll have a real good opportunity just with his speed alone. But your room is so loaded, jam-packed with talent. Where do these young guys fit in, or what is the expectation around the new faces?
I think the expectation for a young guy like a Landon Ibieta is just hit the ground running and play within yourself. Learn, and because you got catching up to do physically and mentally. Immerse yourself in that playbook and what we're doing. If you need help with something, be sure to ask. Open your mouth, because we're going to move fast. Because we got the greatest support staff in football, if you ask me. So you need to use it, across the board. So I expect him to. He's one of those seen, not heard guys. He comes around, sits down, observes, sees what's going on. I think he's going to be a great addition, and he's doing all the right things right now. He's right where he needs to be. He's settling into that X position that we have, that field outside receiver. He's going to play a little slot as well.
Wow.
So we feel good about where we are with him. He's been tremendous.
Does he have a chance to be a specialist, return guy?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think so. I don't want to speak for Coach Polian, but I think he has plans for him as far as whether that be as a returner, gunner position, force a fair catch, with the speed that he has. And we expect guys to contribute. That's one of Coach Hankton's charges when he walked in the room. Hey, you need to play special teams, because he was that guy. Yeah, you know what I mean. So he knows the importance of having special teams value. Yeah,
everybody comes in here and talks about how cool it is to work for Den Brock. What's your point of view of working with Coach Mike?
It's amazing. Like I alluded to earlier, he allows his coaches to coach. he accepts input and values input and asks for it. He keeps it light in the room, but he knows when to, all right, look, we got work to do. You know what I mean? He knows when to hunker down and get the grinding. He sees the big picture. You know what I mean? He's ready to, take on whatever challenges are presented as they come. Because as you can imagine, day to day, so many things come up, things pop up. It's a big SEC program, and you need to be able to adjust and adapt. Yeah. And I think he does that as good as anybody.
What do you make of the league? What is your point of view of the SEC? What is it like every week just preparing in it? They're
so good, man. There's no easy win. It's just like the NFL. Like everybody's like, oh, y'all got the Jets this week. They get paid over that too.
That's right.
So it's
they all got drafted. They're all pros.
That's it, man. And it's the same with the SEC. Especially in the West, and not just on the field. Recruiting. When it comes to going head to head with some of these top teams, you got to have a plan. You got to have you got to be on one accord. You got to have a great plan of attack to how you're going to combat whatever they throw at you, however they attack you, and you got to have a counter. You know what I mean? Because they're going to adjust as well. Mm-hmm. And so and I love the chess match, and I know our entire staff does too. They love the challenge and the competition, and we all embrace that. And but there's no easy wins. I think it's going to be tough, but I believe we could do it. I think Coach Kelly's way of preparing his team, starting with the mental is so important. That's something that I've my first time being a part or being with the head coach that approaches the mental side of football first and the importance of that. Because everybody's going to be big, they're going to be strong, they're going to be fast, but where's your edge? How do you separate yourself from, Team B, Team C, and Coach Kelly believes it's up here. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's shown. He has a resume full of evidence that shows that that's effective, and that's the way to go. Thank you for your time this morning. Thanks for having me, man. Absolutely. Time flew by, man. Yeah, man, that was cool, man. That was a lot of cool storytelling and reminiscing and looking into the future. It's going to be fun to watch that wide receiver group play, man. I can't wait. I'm going to have my popcorn ready. You going 5 wide, huh? Man, hey, listen. If that's the best, he gonna put the best on the field. Mike D gonna put the best on the field, and we'll adjust to that. But the beautiful thing is, you can. I think so. Yeah, absolutely. I believe that. Well, and you talked about Denbrock being like, you take something from everybody in the room a little bit, and that's what obviously you were part of. The Saints, whenever Joe Brady, a lot was made of that 2019 offense. Like, are you able to kind of take some of those same elements from Sean Payton, like you mentioned, watching the Saints Bears? Like, is he kind of looking like maybe a little bit to you because of your time with Sean Payton? Like, hey, give me whatever you got, give it to me. Oh, absolutely. And I'm an open book, and I have just days and weeks of film of how we did this. How did you attack this coverage? How did you get one-on-one? How did you create a one-on-one matchup with this guy? And I have just a whole bunch of footage of how that's done. And if there's something I've done in the past that fits what Coach Mike's looking for or that fits what we do in our identity as an offense, then I'll pull it out. Hey, Coach, look, we run this play. We ran it this way, and I think that's an easy wrinkle to add, because, you don't want to overload guys mentally. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, the easy adds that already fit what you do and your identity as an offense, that the better. Because what Emory can do on offense, there's a lot of shades of what Sean Payton looked for in every running back he's ever had. Like, you have to be able to catch it out the backfield, be able to split out. That's right. So I'd imagine that some of those plays are like, this is perfect for 4. Absolutely. Joe Brady, I remember, said Emory's rookie year in 2019, the only year Brady was here, that he reminded him of a young Alvin Kamara, just his versatility. Not that he was that good, but it just his capability. You can do a lot of stuff with him. I could believe that. During the bowl week, so we were preparing for the bowl, and Emory was ineligible. He couldn't play, but he could practice. So we used him on scout team. And, hey, go line up in the slot, run this, and I'm looking like,
wow.
whoa. Can he come in the receiver room? You know what I mean? And just the versatility he has, you just line him up, just tell him what to do, and he's good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's impressive to watch. It's it's the stuff I've seen John do in practice. I can't wait for y'all to see it. Hopefully you will see it this season. Hopefully
Next week, baby, it's here.
It's here.
Football season is here. Coach Carter Sheridan with a extended time with us here on this Thursday morning. Cool insight, cool stories. Thank you for your time. Look forward to having him back in here. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
Appreciate it.